Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. In the words of the wonderful leader that you are, adapt, adjust, and overcome.
You make it happen. You know what I mean? And what's great is that, you got at least like a role or a team, some role players, and you just figure out how how you get it done.
Every day is a journey. We are playing half of let's call it the on the ball ladies are sick.
Yeah, it's nuts. The stuff going around. More and more people that I talk to, they're getting the flu. They're getting all different kinds of things. So glad that I'm as healthy as I could be right now, but making it happen.
So you say there's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. I think today I'm hurt, correct?
Well, yeah, do you play? So it's the difference between hurt and injured. If you are injured, you are out. You cannot participate. You cannot do what you need to do. If you are hurt, then, and I love listening to, there's been a lot of conversation about that recently in the NFL where and I saw a video of Mike Vrabel talking to the team. He's like, you're going to be hurt. He's like, it's going to happen. And if we want to go to where we want to go to, and we want to be able to do the things we want to do as a team, you're going to have to know the difference between being hurt and being injured, because you're going to have to play hurt. And you have to figure out how to take care of yourself and do what you need to do in order to keep going.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Good morning to everybody joining us. Good morning, Kim Swears. We gave you a big shout out yesterday. And get your ass on the boat, on the water, on
That's
a boat.
Right.
Water, all good stuff. So today is Giving Tuesday. We talked about a little bit of that yesterday with Lori Solarillo. If it's in your heart, if it's in your being, the more you give, the more you get. Life is a boomerang. And so, when you are in a situation where you can, and I very rarely use this word, but you should.
Yeah. And that to me is, whether it's monetary, whether it's, time, talent, treasure, I think are the 3 T's that it falls into. But what do you have that you're able to give? It might not be money. It might be your time and volunteering, or you might have an expertise and something that you're able to do for them. So finding a way to give. I actually ran into Kathleen yesterday at SIT.
Oh, wow, cool.
I popped in to grab a coffee, and as I'm walking in, she was walking out. So it was cool to see her. So another member of the nonprofit community that is active and engaged today on Giving Tuesday.
Well, we will see her and the whole team at the Magnolia Luncheon, which is super cool. I had one of my coaching sessions yesterday. I learned the significance of why it's magnolia. The magnolia flower is strength, perseverance, and something else. I don't know.
Is that why the movie was named Steel Magnolias?
Yes, it was. Unbelievable. So it should be fun. Speaking of Giving Tuesday, there's nobody that gives more of himself than Mr. Greg Goldstein. He is giving again Thursday night. He is one of the men of style. It's a cool event. Shay, when did I do Men of Style?
2015.
I was in 2015. Wow. I did it. Jerry Latrento did it. It's really a fun event, man, because they do operate it like a real fashion show.
Right.
I had a whole bunch of clothes that were lined up for me to wear, and before the event, they get you blasted. Woo, out there, kind of getting on. Really good stuff. This is one of the coolest gives ever. It just, none of this shit gets promoted. Robert Kraft decided to lend the Patriots plane to the UVA football players so that they can go to multiple destinations for the funerals.
Wow. That's awesome. So they're flying the team around to be able to pick them up to get back from wherever they were, because they went on holiday break to get back to do the funeral. That's crazy. Good for Robert Kraft. That's phenomenal.
And, they, at the end of the article, they said, and he did it at no cost. I mean, seriously,
Right.
You don't give, so I just thought, and here's something that lays low below the radar. It's not front page news when it could be and it should be. Those are the kind of things that, all this goodness that's out there that we don't hear that. We just hear all the crap, all the things that
it's funny. I had that thought today. I was driving home from the gym and I was listening to 560, and it's like, it doesn't really matter how good things are going. People just find a way to find the negative and want to talk about the negative. You know what I mean? Like, sure, nothing's ever perfect. Like, shouldn't we just go in with the mindset that nothing's ever perfect? But if shit is predominantly good, it's okay to just talk about the good and enjoy it, right?
So one last thing, because this is a mind blower. Did you know that Tua is married and has a baby?
I did not know that he has a baby, but I did know that he got married, because it was a big deal when people found out, because he was trying to keep it under the radar and he didn't want to talk about it out in the public. So I did know that, but I didn't know he had a baby.
So talk about private. I mean, this guy is just totally doing his thing, whatever, the stories about him and Mike, the head coach, Mike
McDaniel.
Thank you, Mike McDaniel. The stories coming out about how he helped rebuild him as a human talks about the power of coaching. He was demoralized, and there's good shit happening there.
I mean, you want to talk about mindset, and you want to talk about the inputs creating the outputs and creating the talk track in your head. He opened up and was transparent about looking in the mirror and asking himself, do I suck? Am I not good enough to play at this level? Like, am I the problem here? And am I not good enough to do this? And I mean, in a matter of 11 months, guys, like, it's not like they've been working together for years. Like, in 11 months, this guy went from being somebody that everybody was talking about as not able to do it, not the guy getting benched by a previous staff, to being statistically the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, there's no arguing that. Stats are stats. The numbers are the numbers. Right. And he is the number one quarterback in the NFL right now. So it's not
there's a quote I always like: facts don't care about your feelings.
Right. Yeah. Like, there's no opinions about that. It is what it is. He's doing what he's doing on the field. And the reality is that they are undefeated when he plays from first quarter to fourth quarter. So if you don't believe that the people around you matter, or having a coach who believes in you and helps put you in the right position matters, there's no better case study than to look at what's happening with Tua Tagovailoa.
And I'm glad you started it out, because on Giving Tuesday, there's a lot of ways to give besides money. People think you got to give and it's all about the dollars. There's lots of volunteer work that can be done. We do a ton of it in addition to the dollars with JA. And, when United Way asked and said, hey, we're trying to sell out Magnolia, boom, we bought a table. There's lots of different things you can do. Time, talent, and treasure. Man, I love that you brought that up. Let's wake this shit up, because today we are talking about part of the sales process that some people just either don't know or forgot about.
Important part.
Or follow up. Boom. And so here we are. We're going to talk about this thing called follow-up. But before we do that, I wanted to slip a song in. The song is tribute to Irene Cara. Do you know who Irene Cara is?
I have no idea who Irene Cara is.
I was afraid of that. Irene, she was very famous for the group. I mean, for the movie Fame.
Okay.
She was the lead singer, and she had a wonderful career. She died at 63 over the weekend. One of those things that just got lost in translation. But she had a version of one of my favorite Motown songs. And so I thought, in tribute to her and to actually kickstart the follow-up conversation, give me Irene Cara.
Now, if you feel that you can't go on because all of your hope
So that's a
Right.
cover, correct?
So that's a cover. It's not
Four
actually
Top
one of
for
the
the
greatest
original?
covers. That's a Four Top song.
Right.
Jerry Cedar, thank you. The movie was Flashdance. The show was Fame.
Got it.
About kids going to the art school, and so
Yep.
thank you. We should do like the show on ESPN where at the end they give you all
Fact
the
check. Yeah, fact check. Like,
All right. So there's this thing about follow up. Here's some stats. 92% of sales pros give up after the fourth call. According to a study, 80% of sales require an average of 5 follow-ups in order to close a deal. However, 44% of sales reps follow up with a prospect only one time before giving up, which is crazy. So I got all of these stats. There's no real rule on how many times to follow up. I don't care what business you're in. There's no idea when, how, whatever. You got to create a system that is yours and yours alone.
Yeah.
And then I think discipline and consistency jump in.
The consistency. To me,
Right.
like, I don't care what your system is. It's got to be consistent.
What can you expect from me? So there's no better example, and I write about it in my book. I know I wrote a book. I write about follow-up, but I use this example. Show me this example.
See, baby, it's not that hard.
818.
310. So how long do I wait to call?
A day.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, then a day.
Yeah. So 2 days.
Yeah,
I guess you could call it that.
definitely.
2 days.
2 days is like industry standard.
No, I used to wait 2 days to call anybody, but now it's like everyone in town waits 2 days. So I think 3 days is kind of money. What do you think?
Yeah, well, but 2's enough not to look anxious.
Yeah, 2's enough not to look anxious, but I think 3 days is kind of money.
Yeah, but you
because
know what? Maybe I'll wait 3 weeks. How's that? And tell her I was cleaning out my wallet and I just happened to run into her number.
Then ask her where you met her.
Yeah, let's go where I met her. I don't remember. What does she look like? And then I'll ask if we fucked. Would that be T? Would that be the money?
You know what? Ha ha ha, Mike. Laugh all you want, but if you call too soon, you might scare off a nice baby who's ready to party.
Well, how long are you guys going to wait to call your babies?
6 days.
It's a classic.
So nobody knows when you engage with a client or a prospect. Nobody knows what the right follow-up is unless you do some pre-work, what I call the upfront contract.
Sure.
I could go a lot of different ways. I have the art of follow-up. I have all of this shit that we can go. When I say follow-up to you, give me your thoughts.
Well, to me, there's a lot of different kinds of follow-up. So based on what the meeting was or what the visit was dictates the follow-up. Like for me, the system is the first follow-up is always a video. And the way I do the video is, to me, it's thanking them. So there's gratitude involved with that. It's reinforcing something that I learned from them and kind of just, cementing that commonality and that relationship. But also I'll recap it for them if there was any kind of business talk. Like yesterday, had a Zoom, right, with a business owner, a CEO of a company, and their head of business development. We talked about a lot of things. So for me to crystallize it for everybody, I sent a video and I said, and below the video, you guys can look at the outline of the things we talked about. And assuming that we're all on board with this, I'll follow up with a proposal to show you what this looks like. If not, tell me where I missed or tell me what you guys see differently, and I'll make the corrections. So that to me is, I'm not looking for another meeting. We talked about a lot of different ways that we could work together. We talked about a lot of different things that we could do. I crystallized it for them in an outline and said, if we're all in agreement with that outline, I'll send the proposal.
So there's a dichotomy here. There's follow-up on conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I used to know a guy, if he passed you in the hallway, you got an email. Hey, thanks. Good seeing you in the hallway.
Right.
Seriously, God rest his soul. He's no longer with us, but that was his shtick. He followed up instantly. Shay and I got in the habit of when I would be out pre-pandemic and I'd run into people, he'd supply me a list. You ran into these 10 people. That was a follow-up.
Yep.
So let's just zoom out for a second and saying the art of follow-up is letting people know that you're in the loop. It's not about
Well, it's just recognition, right? Like it's
recognition.
recognizing the fact that you saw or had a conversation or whatever, that it's there.
Now, I hear this all the time from people I coach or people that ask me questions. Well, I don't want to be a stalker. So who the hell put that in your mind?
Right.
You did. If you create the right upfront expectations, like, hey, Mark, thanks. This was a great conversation. I'm going to get you the proposal you asked for. You can ask another question and say, hey, when can I expect to hear back from you?
Correct.
Or really close the loop and say, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you about a week. Is it okay if I contact you next Friday? You know, you get that buy-in right up front, but people ask, you know, for stuff and then move away from it. And it has nothing to do a lot of times with you personally. It's just
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, is that you get your personal emotions in the way, right? And so this is where I will relate to The Godfather, which it's business. It's not personal. Yes, business may start personal. Yes, it may start as a relationship and you start as a friendship, but there are aspects to business that are just business. And so holding people accountable to whatever the expectations were, or staying in a consistent dialogue and staying in a consistent communication loop is super important. So I'm not hounding you. I'm not trying to plead with you. I'm just saying, hey, here's what we agreed to do. You're not agreeing to do that. I'm following up with you to hold you accountable to it.
So if you don't want to be accountable, don't start the process with me. You engaged in the process, and I'm happy for you to say to me, hey, listen, I've heard all I need to hear. I'm not ready yet.
Right.
Go away.
Right.
But if you ask for me to do work with a proposal, that's where the upfront contract comes in with me, where I say, great, I'm going to do what you asked. What's a reasonable time for me to follow up with you?
Right.
Well, first of all, you let people know I'm going to follow up. You know,
So,
I'm not just going to let you fall off a cliff.
right.
So what's unbelievable to me is there are times in my career I've had a relevant dialogue with people who I was interested in doing something with, and I never heard from them again.
Correct. There's somebody that I told that I would spend money with them to do something for me, and I never heard from them ever again. I was like, wait, what? We had a light company. We had a Christmas lights company come out and look at the house and give us what the estimate would be. And they said, we'll follow up with a proposal. We're ready to say yes. Like, there's money sitting on the table for them that we've never gotten a proposal from them. It's been like 2 weeks.
So, you know, it's funny because when we teach modern prospecting, a part of that is cadence. You know, and first of all, if you don't know what cadence is, get with us immediately. Okay. You know, it's just, you need to learn the dance. But we build in that cadence up front. It's part of our system of when we're going to follow up. And then the best part for me is cut and bait.
Right.
Boom, not going to happen. Goodbye. Now, does that mean it's never going to happen? No, but I've talked about this a bunch of times. I can't take that maybe to the bank.
Right.
You know, I can't walk into the bank and go, listen, here's my car payment in maybes and excuses. Right. It's not going to work. You know, this doesn't, I need to know where the business is. That doesn't make somebody good or bad, or it makes them done.
And I love, like, to me, you talked about, you know, the cadence of in modern prospecting. To me, there's a cadence and a follow-up timeline in whatever strategy. Like, for me, my LinkedIn connection to conversation cadence is very disciplined.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I send the connection request, and then as soon as it gets accepted, I give somebody 24 hours to respond. If they don't respond, they get a video. If they don't respond to the video, a week later, I follow up with a written message. If they don't respond to that, a week later, I follow up with a GIF, and then I'm done. But I know that I did my dance and I held my process to getting a conversation with that person. If I don't get it in that 3 weeks, I'm not chasing them for another month. I'm not okay, fine. I knew I did what I needed to do to try to get that turn that attention into time with you. that didn't happen, great. I'm no longer wasting my time with it, and I'm moving on to somebody else that does want to spend some time with me.
So sometimes it's just a natural evolution. You do your dance, and then you sit on the sidelines and wait. And I was on my friend Oz's podcast yesterday, and he said, what's like the number one thing you want to tell people? And I go, you got to have some patience. Go back to hunting. Hunting you can control. You can't control when people say yes or what they do or when they go away. You can do what you can do and then put it on the shelf and say, okay, where does this fit? Sometimes bigger deals have a longer sales cycle. They're not going to react in 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 5 days or whatever. So for me, it's always about upfront setting up the dialogue. Now, here's interesting. So there's the art of follow-up. There's 7 things I've identified, and we talked about a few of them. You can use a variety of methods. GIFs are fantastic. Like
the number one icebreaker.
Where'd you go?
Number one icebreaker.
Right? Or, like I like this one, provide value. So yesterday I followed up with 2 people and I said, hey, in this morning's huddle, we used the Beatles song, Get Back. And I put the clip in there from YouTube. I said, hopefully you're getting back to it. Let me know when you want to have a conversation about what's pending. Now, if they don't respond, which neither one have, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to get mad. That's their choice. That's how they operate. I don't choose to operate like that. I don't leave people hanging. I tell people, hey, this is great, but we're not making a decision until June. Okay. Yep. I just understand what it feels like on the other side, but most people aren't. It's amazing. The shittiest ones are the people who are in sales.
Right.
When you deal with, it's like, dude, you're in the business, man. Seriously, you don't want to be treated this way. So understanding that there is a cadence, space, understanding you can provide value, understanding how to define the next steps is probably the most important.
Well, so that's what's really, I think it's really great is, like James Thrush is saying, what about when you need something from someone to complete a project and you follow up and follow up and follow up some more? I don't think I would bet that you didn't do a great job of setting the expectations up front for what you were expecting of that person and what they could expect from you in terms of follow-up. So for me, like wherever you're at in the sales process or wherever you're at in that cadence, once you have time together, being very clear on, are we in agreement that these are the next steps? And if we are in agreement that these are the next steps, does this sound like the right timeline for us to have them completed by? Everybody's in agreement, all say yay, excellent, leave the meeting. And now you've got the ability to follow up with them to say, hey, where were we on this? So whether you're dealing with internal team members, you're dealing with outside vendors, or you're dealing with a prospect, the most important part to follow up is being clear on what the expectation was and being in agreement with everybody so that you can follow up on that.
Love it. I think we nailed it. I'm thinking about continuing this conversation in this week's
GOTB Huddle. I love it.
Yeah, I think that call, because it's such a critical part of the sales process. If you don't have a system, you get crushed. Wishing everybody in your house stays healthy today.
Get healthy, feel better. Same to Helen, and adapt, just overcome, find a way to get it done. Let's go.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.